Welcome to my YouTube channel, VitaBite. What if the small moments you laugh off walking into a room and forgetting why, losing a word mid-sentence, struggling to focus like you used to aren't just normal aging, but early signals that your brain is asking for help? Think about it. How many times have you blamed your memory on getting older, telling yourself this is simply how life works? That assumption feels harmless, but it quietly steals something far more valuable than you realize: your long-term mental sharpness, your independence, and ultimately, your quality of life. Here's the truth most people never hear. Your brain is not a machine that wears out over time. It doesn't slowly rust and decline beyond repair. In fact, modern neuroscience has completely rewritten that story. Your brain is alive, adaptive, and constantly changing. It has the ability to grow new cells, rebuild damaged connections, and strengthen memory pathways even in your 50s, 60s, and beyond. But there's a catch, and it's a big one. This repair system doesn't run automatically. It depends on very specific conditions, and those conditions are shaped by how you live every single day. What you eat, how you sleep, how often you move, and even how you handle stress. These aren't just lifestyle choices. They are direct instructions to your brain. They determine whether it stays sharp or slowly drifts into decline. And right now, we're facing a global problem that most people don't even see coming. Millions of people worldwide are already living with serious cognitive conditions like dementia, and many more are in the early stages without realizing it. This decline doesn't suddenly appear in old age. It begins quietly, often in your 30 seconds or 40 seconds, building slowly over time. But here's the powerful shift you need to understand. This process is not driven mainly by bad luck or genetics. It's driven by habits. And the best part? That means it can be changed. Today, you're going to discover 5 science-backed habits that don't just protect your brain, they actively help it repair itself. These aren't theories or vague advice. These are real biological processes that researchers have mapped at the cellular level. And once you understand how they work, you'll never look at your daily routine the same way again. Let's start with something most people completely underestimate: what happens inside your brain while you sleep. Throughout the day, your brain is constantly working. Every thought you think, every memory you form, every decision you make produces waste at a microscopic level. Among this waste are toxic proteins, some of the same ones linked to serious memory diseases. So naturally, the question becomes, how does your brain clean itself? For years, scientists didn't have a clear answer. The body has systems to remove waste, but the brain is protected and isolated in ways that make this process more complex. Then, a breakthrough discovery changed everything. Researchers found that the brain has its own cleaning system, one that activates primarily during deep sleep. Here's how it works. When you enter deep sleep, certain brain cells actually shrink, creating space for fluid to flow through your brain tissue. This fluid acts like a cleansing wave, washing away toxins that built up during the day. Imagine it like a dishwasher that only runs at night. During the day, you're constantly using the dishes. But the real cleaning happens after everything is done. And this is where things become urgent. If your sleep is poor, inconsistent, or too short, that cleaning process doesn't happen effectively. Even losing just 1 or 2 hours of sleep regularly can reduce your brain's ability to clear these harmful substances. Over time, that buildup can affect memory, focus, and long-term brain health. So sleep is not just rest. It is your brain's most important maintenance system. And if you're not protecting it, you're not giving your brain the chance to repair itself. Now that you understand how your brain cleans and resets overnight, the next step is even more fascinating. There's a powerful molecule inside your body that acts like fertilizer for your brain, helping it grow, adapt, and rebuild stronger than before. And in the next part, you'll discover exactly what it is and how to turn it on naturally. Now that you understand how your brain cleans itself during sleep, here's where things get even more interesting, because cleaning is only half the story. Repair and growth require something more. And inside your body, there's a powerful molecule quietly controlling how well your brain adapts, learns, and rebuilds itself over time. This molecule is called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. You can think of it as fertilizer for your brain. Just like plants need nutrients to grow strong roots and branches, your brain cells rely on BDNF to survive, expand, and form stronger connections. Without it, your brain becomes slower, weaker, and less capable of adapting to change. BDNF plays a central role in one of the most important brain regions you have, the hippocampus. This is the area responsible for forming new memories and helping you navigate the world around you. When BDNF levels are high, this region thrives. It builds new neural connections, strengthens existing ones, and even supports the growth of entirely new brain cells. But when BDNF levels drop, the opposite happens. Memory weakens, learning slows down, and the brain becomes more vulnerable to decline. And this isn't just theory. Researchers consistently find that people struggling with memory-related conditions tend to have significantly lower levels of BDNF. The same pattern shows up in individuals dealing with depression or chronic mental fatigue. Even more concerning, modern lifestyles, low activity, poor sleep, and high sugar intake are directly linked to reduced BDNF production. So, the real question becomes, how do you increase it? The answer is both simple and powerful. One of the strongest triggers for BDNF is aerobic exercise. When you move your body, especially in ways that raise your heart rate, your muscles send signals throughout your body that eventually reach your brain. These signals activate BDNF production, setting off a chain reaction that leads to better memory, stronger connections between neurons, and improved brain function overall. This is not just a long-term effect. Even a single session of exercise can begin to influence how your brain performs. Regular movement, especially when done consistently, creates an environment where your brain is constantly being supported, repaired, and strengthened. But exercise is only part of the equation. What you eat also plays a critical role. Certain nutrients directly support BDNF production, and among the most important are omega-3 fatty acids. These are found in foods like fatty fish, and they act as building blocks for brain health. Studies have shown that increasing omega-3 intake can significantly raise BDNF levels, helping your brain maintain its ability to grow and adapt. On the other hand, diets high in refined carbohydrates and sugar do the exact opposite. When your blood sugar remains consistently high, it disrupts the balance your brain needs to function properly. Over time, this can lower BDNF levels and even shrink parts of the brain responsible for memory. In simple terms, the same diet that harms your body also harms your brain. So if you want to support this powerful growth system, the strategy is clear. Move your body regularly. Aim for at least 30 minutes of moderate to intense activity most days of the week. Include nutrient-rich foods that support brain health, especially those containing healthy fats. And start reducing the foods that work against you, particularly processed sugars and refined carbohydrates. What makes this so important is that BDNF doesn't just protect your brain, it actively builds it. It strengthens the very circuits you rely on for thinking, remembering, and learning. And when combined with quality sleep, it creates a powerful cycle of repair and growth that continues day after day. But even with strong BDNF levels, your brain still depends on something more fundamental fuel. And this is where the next habit becomes critical. Because if your brain can't properly use the energy available to it, everything starts to break down, no matter how healthy the rest of your routine is. In the next part, you'll discover how a hidden metabolic issue is quietly affecting memory and focus for millions of people, and what you can do to fix it before it leads to long-term damage. Now here's where everything starts to connect in a deeper way, because even if your brain is cleaning itself properly during sleep, and even if you're boosting BDNF through movement and nutrition, there's still one critical factor that can quietly undermine everything. And most people don't even realize it's happening. It comes down to how your brain uses energy. Your brain may only make up about 2% of your body weight, but it consumes roughly 20% of your total energy. That's a massive demand, and almost all of that energy comes from one source, glucose. But here's the key detail. Your brain can't just absorb glucose on its own. It depends on a hormone called insulin to help move that fuel into brain cells. When everything is working properly, insulin acts like a key. It unlocks the door to your cells, allowing glucose to enter and power your neurons. This is what keeps your thinking sharp, your memory active, and your focus steady. But when insulin resistance develops, that system starts to break down. Imagine the lock becoming stiff and difficult to open. The key is still there, but it doesn't work as smoothly. As a result, glucose struggles to enter the cells. And even though there may be plenty of sugar in your bloodstream, your brain cells are essentially running low on usable fuel. This creates a dangerous situation. The brain becomes energy deprived, stressed, and inflamed. Over time, this can lead to noticeable problems with memory, focus, and mental clarity. In fact, the connection is so strong that some researchers now refer to certain forms of cognitive decline as a type of metabolic brain condition. What makes this even more concerning is how common insulin resistance has become. Modern diets, high in sugar, refined carbohydrates, and ultra-processed foods are pushing more and more people into this state without obvious warning signs. You might feel normal on the surface, but beneath that, your brain may already be struggling. The good news is that this process is reversible. One of the most effective ways to restore your brain's ability to use energy efficiently is by improving insulin sensitivity. And this can be done through simple, consistent changes in how and when you eat. Start by reducing foods that cause rapid spikes in blood sugar, things like sugary drinks, white bread, pastries, and processed snacks. These foods overload your system and make it harder for insulin to do its job over time. Instead, shift toward meals that are balanced with protein, healthy fats, and fiber. This helps stabilize your blood sugar and supports a more consistent energy supply to your brain. Another powerful strategy is adjusting your eating window. Intermittent fasting, even in its simplest form, can have a significant impact. By giving your body a longer break between meals, you allow insulin levels to reset and become more effective again. A common approach is eating within an 8 to 10 hour window and fasting for the remaining hours of the day. During these fasting periods, your body begins to produce an alternative fuel source called ketones. And here's where it gets interesting. Your brain can use ketones very efficiently. In some cases, they provide an even cleaner and more stable energy source than glucose. Not only that, but ketones also support processes that help protect brain cells and reduce the buildup of harmful substances. So now, you're not just fixing an energy problem, you're creating an environment where your brain can function more efficiently and repair itself more effectively. But even with proper fuel and strong biological support, there's another factor that can slowly break down your brain from the inside out. And unlike diet or exercise, this one often feels unavoidable. It's something nearly everyone deals with daily, yet very few people fully understand its long-term impact. In the next part, we're going to uncover how chronic stress is physically changing your brain structure and what you can do to protect your memory before that damage becomes permanent. Now, here's the part most people underestimate because it doesn't show up in lab reports right away, and it doesn't feel as obvious as poor sleep or a bad diet. But over time, it may be one of the most damaging forces acting on your brain. Chronic stress. Not the short bursts of pressure that help you react quickly or stay alert, but the constant low-level stress that lingers in the background of everyday life. The kind that builds quietly: deadlines, financial pressure, lack of rest, emotional strain, and never fully switches off. At first, it feels manageable, maybe even normal, but inside your body, something very different is happening. Every time you experience stress, your brain activates a system designed to help you respond. This system releases a hormone called cortisol. In the short term, cortisol is useful. It sharpens your focus, increases energy availability, and prepares you to deal with challenges. But when stress becomes constant, cortisol levels stay elevated for far too long, and this is where the damage begins. Your brain contains a region called the hippocampus, which plays a central role in forming and retrieving memories. This area is especially sensitive to cortisol. In fact, it has a high concentration of receptors designed to respond to this hormone. When cortisol remains elevated over extended periods, it starts to interfere with how this region functions. At a structural level, chronic stress begins to shrink the branches that brain cells use to communicate. These branches, known as dendrites, are essential for passing information between neurons. As they shrink, communication becomes less efficient. At the same time, the tiny connection points between cells where signals are exchanged begin to disappear. This isn't just a slight slowdown. It's a physical reduction in the brain's communication network. Even more concerning, chronic stress suppresses the creation of new brain cells in the hippocampus. This means your brain loses part of its ability to renew itself in the very area responsible for memory. Over time, this can lead to measurable shrinkage in that region, directly affecting your ability to learn, recall information, and stay mentally sharp. And the effects don't stop there. Elevated cortisol also interferes with the brain's overnight repair systems. It disrupts sleep quality, reduces deep sleep cycles, and weakens the brain's ability to clear out waste. So now, you're not only dealing with structural damage, you're also reducing your brain's ability to recover from it. This creates a cycle that feeds itself. More stress leads to poorer sleep leads to less recovery, and less recovery leads to further decline in mental performance. But here's the part that changes everything. This process is not irreversible. There are proven ways to interrupt this cycle and protect your brain from ongoing damage. And they don't require extreme changes, just consistent, intentional habits. One of the most effective tools is mindfulness. Spending even 10 to 15 minutes a day in a focused, calm state, whether through meditation or quiet reflection, has been shown to reduce cortisol levels and support brain plasticity. It gives your nervous system a chance to reset and shift out of a constant stress response. Breathing also plays a powerful role. Slow, controlled breathing, especially from the diaphragm, signals your body to activate its calming system. Techniques like steady inhale and exhale patterns can reduce stress in real time, helping you regain control during overwhelming moments. Movement, once again, becomes important here. Activities like yoga combine physical motion with breath control and awareness, creating a direct pathway to lower stress levels while supporting brain function at the same time. And perhaps most importantly, sleep remains non-negotiable. Quality sleep is one of the strongest natural regulators of cortisol. Without it, even the best stress management strategies lose their effectiveness. So, managing stress is not just about feeling better emotionally. It's about protecting your brain physically. It's about preserving the structure that supports your memory, your thinking, and your long-term cognitive health. Now, when you combine everything we've covered so far, deep sleep, BDNF activation, proper brain fuel, and stress control, you begin to see a pattern. Each piece supports the next. Each habit strengthens the system as a whole. But there's one more layer that ties everything together, a habit that not only boosts brain growth and improves memory almost immediately, but also enhances the very cleaning and repair systems we talked about at the beginning. In the next part, we're going to break down how the right kind of physical movement can accelerate brain repair faster than most people realize, and how you can start using it to your advantage right away. Now we arrive at the habit that connects everything you've learned so far, the one that doesn't just support your brain in one way, but amplifies nearly every system we've discussed. If sleep is your brain's reset button, and nutrition provides the fuel, then this is the force that activates, strengthens, and accelerates the entire process. We're talking about physical movement, but not just any movement. The right type, the right intensity, and the right consistency of exercise can transform how your brain functions almost immediately. You already know that exercise increases BDNF, the molecule that helps your brain grow and adapt. But what most people don't realize is just how powerful and fast this effect can be. When your heart rate increases during aerobic activity, your body responds by sending more blood to your brain. This isn't just circulation, it's delivery. Oxygen, nutrients, and growth signals are all being transported directly to your brain cells in greater amounts. And that changes everything. More blood flow means more energy available to neurons. It means stronger communication between brain cells. It means a higher capacity for learning, memory formation, and mental clarity. But here's what makes this even more compelling. These benefits don't take months to appear. Research shows that even a single session of moderate to intense exercise can improve memory performance within 24 hours. One workout, one day later. A measurable difference in how your brain stores and recalls information. That tells you something important. Your brain is incredibly responsive when you give it the right signals. But the impact goes even deeper than memory alone. Exercise also plays a direct role in enhancing the brain's cleaning system, the same one activated during deep sleep. When you move your body, especially through activities that elevate your heart rate, you stimulate the flow of fluids within the brain. This helps prepare the pathways that clear out waste products overnight. In simple terms, What you do during the day determines how well your brain cleans itself at night. So now, these habits are no longer separate. They're connected. You exercise, which boosts blood flow and BDNF. That prepares your brain for deeper repair. Then you sleep, allowing your brain to clear toxins more efficiently. Over time, this cycle becomes stronger and more effective, leading to better focus, sharper memory, and greater long-term protection. And there's another layer that often gets overlooked. When you build and use muscle, your body releases signaling molecules that travel to the brain and support its function. These compounds work alongside BDNF to promote adaptability and resilience. So combining aerobic exercise with resistance training gives your brain a more complete set of benefits. Now let's bring this into practical terms. You don't need an extreme routine to start seeing results. The goal is consistency, not perfection. Aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate activity each week. That's roughly 20 to 30 minutes a day. Activities like brisk walking, cycling, swimming, or even dancing all count as long as your heart rate increases. If possible, include a few sessions where the intensity is higher, where your breathing becomes heavier, and holding a conversation feels difficult. These moments create a stronger response in your brain, especially when it comes to BDNF production. Timing also matters more than most people think. Exercising earlier in the day can help regulate your internal clock, making it easier to fall asleep at night and improving the quality of your rest. And as you already know, better sleep means better brain recovery. Adding resistance training 2 or 3 times a week further strengthens this system. It doesn't have to be complicated. Simple bodyweight exercises or basic strength routines are enough to trigger these benefits. What matters most is that you start. Because once you do, you're no longer just exercising for your body, you're actively upgrading your brain. Now step back for a moment and look at the full picture. You've learned how your brain cleans itself during sleep, how it grows through BDNF, how it depends on proper fuel, how stress can damage it, and how movement can accelerate its repair. All that remains now is to bring everything together into a clear, simple path forward, one that you can actually follow starting today. And that's exactly what we're going to do in the final part. Now, it all comes together. Everything you've learned so far isn't a collection of random health tips, it's a complete system. A system that determines whether your brain stays sharp, adaptable, and resilient, or slowly declines without you even noticing it. Here's the reality you need to hold on to. Your brain is not passively aging. It is actively responding to what you do every single day. Every choice you make, how you sleep, what you eat, how you move, how you handle stress, is shaping your brain in real time. And the difference between a strong, clear mind later in life and one that struggles isn't written in your genes. It's built through your habits. Start with sleep, because this is where everything begins. When you protect your sleep, you give your brain the time it needs to clean itself. Deep sleep activates that internal system that clears out harmful waste and resets your neural environment. Without it, toxins build up, recovery slows down, and every other effort you make becomes less effective. So this is non-negotiable: consistent sleep, enough duration, and the right conditions. Then comes growth. BDNF is the signal that tells your brain to build, repair, and strengthen itself, and you control it more than you think. Through regular movement and the right nutrition, you can increase this powerful molecule and support the very processes that keep your memory sharp and your thinking fast. This is how your brain stays adaptable, even as you get older. Next is fuel. Your brain needs a stable and efficient energy supply to function properly. When insulin resistance develops, that system breaks down, leaving your brain underpowered despite having plenty of fuel available. By improving how your body responds to insulin through better food choices and smarter eating patterns, you restore that balance. You give your brain consistent, reliable energy so it can perform at its best. Then there's stress, the silent disruptor. Left unmanaged, it physically changes your brain structure, weakening the very systems responsible for memory and learning. But when you take control of it through mindfulness, breathing, movement, and proper rest, you protect those systems and allow your brain to recover instead of deteriorate. And finally, movement ties everything together. It boosts blood flow, increases BDNF, supports brain cleaning processes, and enhances memory almost immediately. It's not just exercise. It's one of the most powerful tools you have to influence how your brain performs, both now and in the future. Now, here's the most important part. You don't need to change everything at once. In fact, trying to do that often leads to doing nothing at all.